If you're 65 or older, there's a driving test spreading panic online right now. One people swear can end your license in 2026. Most of what's going viral about it is flat out wrong. But a real test does exist, and it quietly takes licenses every single week. Stay with me until number 6, because that's the trigger almost everyone gets completely backwards. Number 1. Let's kill the myth first, because it's costing seniors money and sleep. Right now there are articles all over Facebook screaming that new driving rules begin January 6, 2026, and that every Canadian over 65 must suddenly pass a hard new test or lose their keys. That is false. Here's the truth. Canada has no national driving law. There is no federal driver's license. Every single province and territory sets its own rules, and nothing new launched countrywide in 2026. The mandatory senior testing everyone's panicking about is real. But in Ontario, it begins at 80, not 65. In British Columbia, the doctor's medical report kicks in at 80. In Alberta, it's a medical every 2 years from 75. Different ages, different provinces, no single national date. When you trace those scary articles back, they don't come from a government site. They come from content farms with names dressed up to look official, churning out fear to sell clicks. Why does this matter to your wallet? Because scammers follow these hoaxes. Within days of a fake new rule, seniors start getting calls and emails offering paid renewal prep courses or priority test booking for $40, $50, $60. One woman in London, Ontario paid a caller $99 for a, quote, guaranteed 2026 senior license package that arrived as 3 photocopied pages she could have printed free from her own province's website. Another man wired $200 for a fast-track booking and lost every cent. There is no fast track, and the ministry never charges for one. Every one of those is garbage. Your provincial renewal costs nothing extra beyond your normal license fee, and no legitimate service charges you to prepare for the screening. So the first action is simple. If a driving rule warning doesn't link to a page ending in .ca from your provincial government, treat it as bait, and never pay a cent to a stranger over it. Number 2. Now the real test, the one that actually ends licenses. In Ontario, when you turn 80, you can't just renew by mail anymore. You go in person, and the part that truly decides your future is a 5-minute cognitive screening. It's 2 small exercises. First, a clock drawing test. They ask you to draw a clock face, place all the numbers, and set the hands to a specific time, like 10 past 11. Second, a letter cancellation task. A page full of letters or symbols, and you cross out every time one specific letter appears. Against the clock. It sounds almost childish. It isn't. Those 2 exercises measure processing speed, spatial awareness, and executive function, the exact abilities you need to judge a left turn across traffic. Miss too many, place the numbers wrong, or freeze, and you don't automatically lose your license, but you get flagged for a full road test. That's where licenses actually die. So here's what most people get wrong. They cram on road signs. That's not what's tested. One 81-year-old man spent 2 weeks memorizing a highway sign booklet, then bunched all 12 numbers on the right side of his clock and got sent straight to a road test he never saw coming. A test that failed would have cost him the car he still used to drive his wife to dialysis 3 times a week. The fix is practical. Practice drawing a clock and doing a timed letter scan a few times in the weeks before, not to cheat it, but so the format doesn't rattle you on the day. Nerves fail more seniors here than ability does. Number 3. The vision test, the quiet trap that fails people before they even sit down. Before the cognitive screening, there's an in-person eye test, and this is where a surprising number of drivers get stopped cold. The Ontario standard is visual acuity of at least 20/50ths, with both eyes together, with or without glasses, and a horizontal field of vision of at least 120 degrees. Here's the mistake that ends licenses that shouldn't. People show up wearing an old prescription. Your eyes drift year to year, and a pair of glasses from 4 years ago can push a perfectly safe driver below the line. One senior in Ontario failed on a Tuesday reading 20/60ths, saw an optometrist that Friday for an updated prescription, a visit fully covered by OHIP once you're 65, passed the retest the next week at 20/40ths, and kept driving. The failure was never his eyes. It was his glasses, and a new pair cost him about $300 against a license worth his whole week. So your action this week: Book an eye exam before your renewal, not after, and bring your current glasses. If you've got early cataracts or glaucoma, get them documented and treated first. A routine cataract removal alone often lifts vision from a failing 20/70ths back to a passing 20/30ths. Don't let a fixable lens problem cost you your independence. And remember what I promised for number 6. The one trigger that can pull your license years before 80, no matter how sharp you are. Keep that in mind as we go. Number 4. The group education session and the record review, the parts people underestimate. At 80, Ontario also puts you through a 90-minute group session and pulls your driving record. The session itself isn't pass or fail, but instructors are watching. If you seem confused, can't follow the material, or show real difficulty, that gets noted. The record review is the sharper edge. If you've collected recent at-fault collisions, tickets, or a doctor's warning already on file, that history can flip you straight into a mandatory road test, even if your clock and your eyes were fine. Here's the concrete part. In most provinces, demerit points and at-fault incidents from roughly the last 2 to 3 years are what examiners weigh most. And in Ontario, a stack that crosses 6 to 9 demerit points already puts you on the ministry's radar. 9 is the level where they can call you in for an interview. One senior with 2 minor fender benders and an expired plates ticket in the same year walked in expecting a rubber stamp and walked out booked for a full road test, because the pattern, not any single event, raised a flag. What to do? Pull your own driver's abstract before renewal. You can order a certified 3-year abstract from Service Ontario for about $12, or a full uncertified one for around $18, and know exactly what they'll see. If there's a mistake on it, like a collision wrongly marked at fault, dispute it now, not on renewal day when it's too late to fix. Number 5. What actually happens when you're flagged so it doesn't blindside you? Being sent for a road test is not the same as losing your license, and panic here makes people quit driving who didn't have to. If you're flagged, you get scheduled for an on-road evaluation with an examiner. Pass it and you keep your full license. Struggle, and there are middle options many seniors never hear about. A restricted license, daytime only, no highways, or within a set distance of home instead of a full revocation. And if your license is suspended on medical or screening grounds, you have the right to appeal, usually to a provincial license appeal tribunal, and often a window of 30 to 90 days to do it. The mistake that costs people everything is silence. They get a scary letter, feel ashamed, and simply stop driving without ever exercising the appeal or asking about a restricted license. One 79-year-old surrendered her keys the day her letter arrived. Her son later learned a daytime-only restriction was hers for the asking, and by then the appeal window had closed, and she'd already sold the car for $4,000, half what it was worth, to a neighbor. Don't do that. If you get flagged, the action step is to respond in writing before the deadline on the letter. Ask specifically about a restricted or conditional license, and if you can, take a refresher lesson with a licensed instructor, usually $60 to $80 an hour, and 2 lessons is often enough before the road test. Examiners can tell the difference between a bad day and a real decline. Number 6. The trigger almost everyone gets backwards. People fixate on turning 80 like it's the cliff edge. It isn't. The rule that can end your license at 66, 70, 72, any age, is the physician's mandatory medical report. In every province in Canada, doctors are legally required to report drivers whose medical condition may make driving unsafe: a stroke, advancing dementia, uncontrolled seizures, certain heart conditions, severe sleep apnea, or vision loss. The moment that report reaches your provincial ministry, your license can be reviewed or suspended immediately. No birthday, no 80th year screening required. This is the one that shocks families, because it feels like the doctor turned you in. They didn't betray you, they followed the law, and they're protected for it. Here's what most people get wrong. They hide symptoms from their doctor to protect their license, and that's exactly backwards. A 68-year-old truck driver stayed quiet about fainting spells, blacked out behind the wheel, and lost his license outright. Plus a job that paid him $70,000 a year, where a diagnosed, treated heart rhythm on record would likely have kept him on the road. A managed, treated condition, the right medication, a documented recovery, is far more likely to keep you driving than an untreated one that ends in a crash and an automatic report. In many cases, a driver cleared by a specialist after, say, a single seizure controlled 6 months on medication, is reinstated. The one who hit it and crashed is not. So the real action is counterintuitive. Be honest with your doctor, get conditions treated and documented, and ask directly, is anything here reportable, and what can I do to stay safe on the road? Managing it openly is how you keep the keys, not silence. So here's the bottom line. There's no secret new test at 65. There's a real screening at 80, a vision check that fails people over old glasses, and a medical report that can act at any age. Your one move this week: book an eye exam and pull your own driving abstract before renewal season hits. If this cleared up the confusion, subscribe and share it with someone over 65 before they fall for the fake version.